When I'm driving an F1 car, steering wheel feedback is one of the most important things. It helps me decide when to brake and how hard. It's how I feel the surface of the road. Every bump in the terrain, every wheel slip. If my tyres are starting to lose grip, I can sense that immediately. When I'm driving in a sim, I need that same tactility, that level of detail I have in a real car.
Racing games have come a long way in the last 20 years. Nothing's really changed in how we approach force feedback in all that time. Cutting-edge sims are now so realistic, drivers across all disciplines are using them for training. Our main goal when designing TrueForce was to improve the number of sensations that you actually feel, to put you better in contact with the car that you're driving so that you can improve your performance and that enjoyment of driving on a track. The physical feedback needs to be more immediate or accurate, or a player loses immersion or control.
Game developers are still having to recreate their force feedback from a set library of effects instead of deriving it from real-time modelling.
TrueForce is special because it levels the playing field for PC and console gamers. You're now getting the extra level of precision and detail that you need, regardless of which platform is your choice. This is not just iteration, it's total evolution. TrueForce force feedback works differently. It hooks directly into the physics engine of the game. Games already calculate the forces on the tyres and the steering wheel. The TrueForce algorithm is able to process this data at up to 4,000 times a second. It will even use the game's audio engine and pass it directly on to the driver.
We spend a lot of time as audio designers trying to make each car sound unique and as realistic as we possibly can. Being able to integrate the audio into the force feedback is something that we've wanted to do for a long time, and TrueForce enables us to do that. And the ability to send the audio to the wheel, to have it respond and vibrate with the loss of traction, really increases my ability to give that immersion to the player.
You can sense the changing surface of the road. You'll be able to feel if the back end of the car is losing grip.
The first time we had it running in the build, I could feel the wheel humming and vibrating as we revved the engine. Our immediate reaction was, it really adds another level of immersion.
The first thing you're going to feel with a TrueForce wheel is the engine note. The minute the engine starts in the game, you will know exactly which car you are driving. TrueForce is the beginning of something new. This is now the foundation for all wheels that we'll produce in the future. This extra level of information gives everyone all the information they need to learn how to control their car better. TrueForce benefits any racing fan looking for a more realistic driving experience.
Because winning is all about feeling.
You can feel the tension. You can smell the anticipation. 40 cars, 40 different stories. And on Sunday, we challenged the stiffest test. The test of the animal that is Mount Panorama. 6.2 Ks of the toughest challenge that Australian racing has to offer. But you don't just do it once. There are 161 reasons why this can all go wrong. 1,000 reasons why you didn't get the job done. Failing to prepare is preparing to fail. And when it's all said and done, there will only be one winner. One team that is crowned with glory. It's not the lucky ones that win this race, it's only the best. Which team will it be? SSR, TTR, or even ERT? Or maybe someone else from the pack can rise for the win. Welcome to Bathurst. Welcome to the Logitech G Pro Invitational.
Can't get enough of Bathurst? Well, neither can we. Mount Panorama again. Did you miss it? Well, it's back in virtual form, qualifying for the 1000. Our qualifying coverage for round 8 of the 2022 Logitech G Supercar Pro Invitational Series begins here. From myself, Jonathan Simon, welcome to the coverage. Stephen Clark is alongside me as always. You'll be here with us for qualifying Sandman. You'll be there tomorrow as well for the entire 1000. How does it feel to be back at the mountain?
Mate, exactly like you said, Jonathan, no one can get enough of this place. It holds a special place in our heart for all Australian motor racing fans, even around the world. This place is very special, and although we've seen a lot of content from here over the last few weeks, I'm absolutely thrilled to be here as part of the Logitech G Supercars Pro Invitational.
Yeah, well said. And look, this is the mountain. We love it every single year, but it's time to refresh our minds on what it looks like and what it's all about. Format tonight, 30 minutes of qualifying. We'll grab the quickest 10. They'll head straight to the shootout. That shootout will determine your grid for the top 10 slots, and then the big 1,000-kilometre race tomorrow. Shane Van Gisbergen returns to the series. Sandman, one of the premier drivers in the world. Great to have him on board for the Logitech G Supercar Pro Invitational.
Absolutely, and our most recently crowned Supercar 1000 champion. So awesome to have Shane in the series again. No doubt he's done a couple of laps over here in the last few weeks, but brilliant to have him on board, and I think a lot of people can learn from him tonight.
That's exactly right. Now, the mountain, 6.2 kilometres in length, 3.8 miles, anti-clockwise layout. There's 23 of the most challenging, gut-wrenching corners. This is one of the opening straights, and then here's where you begin to tackle the mountain right here. Everybody in full force for qualifying so far. Love the liveries going on throughout the field. As always, we've got your best drivers from the Australian sim racing universe challenging it out, trying to set their quickest times so far. Corey Shepherd's a driver who he's a young gun, an up-and-comer Sandman through the series. He's somebody to look out for. He might be, I think, one of the first drivers here to complete a lap here.
Absolutely, having a red hot go too, because just as we got to our camera onto him, you could see the car just moving around a little bit. So definitely having a red hot go. Moved around a little bit under brakes, but didn't miss his apex, which was important. Oh, look at that shot too. Love that as they cut into the chase. Brilliant looks like so far, but yeah, he is going to be the first of our time getters to set down a time.
Yeah, but yes, the 923 car is next in line, so that would be Rainer Costello, who's currently driving that one. Here's Corey Shepherd across the line. Let's find out what the time is so far in qualifying, what the temperature is like. 31 degrees Celsius track temp, and that sets a 2-minute 2.5 for Corey Shepherd. Pretty quick time, but we're expecting that to be eclipsed. Few more times come in. Sebastian Flock, 2-minute 3.3, and very taily on the exit. Now, Sandman, we would expect under these conditions, you're probably only going to get one quick fast lap with these rubbers.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these guys know how crucial getting a lap time is around here. And the tyres do drop off a little bit, but you're obviously going to get your optimal pace out of that first lap. So these guys will go out, do a hot lap, come back straight back in and bolt on a new set of tyres. And of course, we know as these sessions do, they evolve, the track evolves. So these guys will benefit later on, but it's really good to get down a banker at the moment.
Yeah, Brady Myers, who took victory round number 1 at Sebring. Boy, what a way to kick off the series, round number 1, with that absolutely chaotic finish. He's already clipsed for provisional pole for the moment. Dane Warren goes to the top of the timing sheets, 2-minute 1.7, and boy, is it good to have Dane Warren back in an Australian racing series.
Absolutely, and he's a masterclass too, isn't he? It doesn't matter what he jumps in, he's really fast. So, you know, at the moment, straight to the top of the timesheets. I don't think too many people are surprised by that. And obviously, he had a great warm-up leading up to this. The Sandown 500 was just brilliant. And, you know, he's shown that he's a real team player. And, you know, him along with Jared Filso really put on a clinic at Sandown. And they're going to be incredibly tough to beat this weekend.
And second in line, Ethan Grigalt, who I bumped into the other week over at Phillip Island, was racing in the XLs. And Ethan Grigalt, who has been doing a great job in the real world, never, and this is what I spoke to him about, and people often forget, doesn't have any real world racing car experience, yet has been lighting up the world in the XLs and the sim racing universe. He's a pure talent.
Absolutely. I'm so jealous too, mate. Anyone that can actually have a steer and do something like that is, yeah, very lucky in my books. Unfortunately, I don't have the talent as much as these guys do, but yeah, he's doing a great job on track and certainly doing the job tonight so far as well.
Well, you used to have the talent. That's why you've been chucked in the booth, right?
Yeah.
It's the knowledge and the former talent. Sir Rick Kuznetsov also trying to set a time right now. Let's see where he fits in the standings. Don't think that's going to put him up. No, straight into the lane. So a lot of damage there. Now, is that from maybe a strike with the wall?
Yeah, it looks that case, and like it just seems to be just that right front. So, I mean, the perfect thing for him at the moment. That's half an hour session. There's plenty of time to head back, fix that, and head out again.
So a couple of other drivers through the field. Brody Kostecki, who had a traumatic real-world 1000, to say the least, and it was a controversial hit. Probably won't talk about it for the moment, but certainly a great talent. Now, we don't know where his future lies. You know, he loves the world of supercars. He loves anything with a tin top, basically. Who knows if he'll head over to the US, whether he stays in Australia. That's another question in itself. But my word is Brody Kostecki, a great talent. Good to have him back in the series. I don't think he's top 10 in the standings last time I saw. I've got to double check that. But he's been doing a great job so far in their Invitational. I can confirm, not even close to the top 10.
Yeah, he's had some misfortune in this series, but you know, I've seen him. Yeah, he's done a bit of racing overseas in the lower NASCAR division. So I don't know if he's got a passion for NASCAR, but it'd certainly be interesting to see him if he did sort of take that avenue in a few years' time.
Yeah, absolutely. He loves the US racing circuit scene. Shows in his personality, doesn't it, too, as well. Sitting 12th in the standings, so about 31 points from Brenton Hobson, who secures that 10th spot. So it's all about qualifying. 10th position at the moment is with Adam Briggs in the 143 car. He's right on the bubble, about a 10th of a second. Look at this train. Now, how do you manage that? Yeah,
that's scary, isn't it? Especially if you sort of, you know, you're very fast coming into that section of the racetrack. If you come around the corner and see all those guys lined up in front of you, that definitely does get your attention. But I wonder if these guys are just trying to do a slow out lap, look after these tyres and possibly team up with someone to use some of that vital draft, because that's key around here. That can be really, really helpful around down these long straightaways.
Now, how much would the draft be worth? Normally, I would say at least at Bathurst, surely about a half a second to a second, the last time I remember.
I mean, I guess it depends on how well you are teamed up with whoever you are, you know. Obviously, sometimes you get drivers that sort of aren't around the same sort of speed as you. So if you can team up with like a fast teammate or something like that, I guess it can be hugely beneficial, especially up and down the straights. But again, it can be a bit tricky too, because you've got to justify getting close enough to make most of the draft, but not get yourself caught up too much over the top of the mountain, because as we all know, it's pretty much single file once you start to crest the top of the mountain.
This is where it starts to get ugly. are at the elbow. Everybody's trying to sort themselves out. Actually, I take that back, because on the run to Murray's coming out of the chase, this is the place where it generally gets pretty ugly in quali, as everybody tries to filter themselves out, sort out where they are on their laps. 97. Talked about Gizzy Racing. Well done to him on another 1,000 victory. And right now, I'm assuming he's trying to find some space. Now, again, we've seen this in so many years, Sandman, where people are trying to sort out their laps, trying to sort out traffic and everything. Even now, I feel like he's going to capture a little bit of dirty air there. Maybe a bit of a toe, but if you can catch that 04 at the top of the mountain, I think that's going to impede his lap. That's Luke Mitchison, by the way, in that 04.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I say about the part where it's single file. You know, you are both having a red hot go, but if you start to really close up on the driver in front of you, that can hurt you across the top of the mountain. But here we are on board with VisorCam. This is a beautiful look as part of our Supercars Logitech G Pro Invitational series. Really love this shot. Gives you sort of a bird's eye view of what these drivers experience. Oh, you can see, look at the opposite lock that Van Gisbergen had on exit. That was very cool.
Watching a master at his craft.
Now this is, look, you can see how much gap he's already closed up a little bit, just down, up already across the top of the mountain, trying to see if he's going to get balked in any way. It looks like there's still enough of a gap, but at the end of the day, there is no way to pass here. So it'll all be down the straightaway, and just hopefully he doesn't get caught up in the chase, depending on how much of a gap that closes up.
Oh, the absolute precision by which he's driving as well. It feels like there's only millimeters separated between that Dunlop rubber and between the walls, between the grass, between the edges of the racetrack. And I think he's caught that 04 right at the perfect time here. He's going to get a nice slipstream all across Conrod and into the braking zone of the chase. But do you think he's going to be alongside him into the chase? I think he's a bit far back.
No, and that's probably good. What he wants to be is tucked up exactly where he is. So he's obviously gaining that huge draft here down Conrod. Coming into the chase is going to be tricky, though. It'll be depending on how his braking zone is, because, look, they don't really want to start fighting for real estate in the braking zone. And that's possibly exactly where it is. I don't know if Van Gisbergen's got caught up a little bit. Oh, there you go. Mitchell has just run off onto the grass. So that'll be good for Van Gisbergen. He'll be able to finish his lap without worrying about who's going to be in his braking zone.
And the first of the times for the second runs come in right behind Van Gisbergen. I can count 20 to 25 cars all in a row ready to set their times. Gisbergen across the line, 2-minute 2.4. That puts him up to P6. That's a spot in the shootout, but we've got about 20 other cars yet to cross the line here for their second run. Will anybody pip Dane Warren? Briggs into the top 10. Shepherd to second so far. Good times, good improvement by Jake Burton. He sits fourth for the moment. Dane Warren into the pits. He doesn't improve, but remains provisionally on pole. Now that's the end of the second runs. Everybody's going to go for a third. We have another breather here, Sandman. But again, Dane Warren already set a good provisional pole time, and we should remind viewers that co-drivers can set the qualifying time here, because Jared Filsell, our championship leaders, the other driver in that car currently sitting on provisional pole.
What a nice position for them to be in. Have two stars like Dane Warren and Jared Filsell to decide about who's going to do some laps in qualifying. That's not too bad at all, but they've obviously laid down a decent marker for themselves. It really takes the pressure off the team too, because they don't have that pressure of knowing that they really need to put down a lap. It's great when teams can put down a banker and it turns out half reasonable, exactly what they've done.
Yep, this is Chris Coxhead, who's driving in the 208s. He's couple of green sectors you can see in the bottom left-hand corner of your coverage. See if this improves him. He's currently sitting, where is that, P25, and he's made a bit of a mess of the final corner there at Murray's. Crossed the line at 2-minute 3.4, so will not improve on his previous time, 2-minute 3.4 again. Just down by a couple hundredths. Now critically here, track temp also cooling down. 29-degree track temp, so 2 degrees cooler than about 10 minutes ago, and that might help encourage a few drivers to improve their times.
Absolutely. You know, all those drivers do love that cooler track condition. And like I said earlier, you know, this track is going to rubber in too. So the track's only just going to get better and better as the session goes on. So these teams will be keeping an eye on that, looking at where the sun is. You can see a little bit of sun now on the track at the moment, but that will obviously play key and really be a bit of a lifesaver if these guys can get a bit of clear track, cool track and fresh rubber right at the end of the session.
So Warren, Phil Sell on top, the two teammates. Shepherd and Madison down second, 3/10 behind. Now, we were talking before the coverage, Sandman, can anybody stop Jared Philsell? You team him up with Dane Warren, it really is a recipe for dominance.
You're not wrong. And we said that on paper when it was announced earlier in the season. We were like, wow, you look at that pairing on paper and you think it's almost unstoppable. I guess we saw a little bit of that at Sandown. Those two really put on a clinic. And look, at the end of the day, they didn't put a foot wrong. We all know this is different. This is Bathurst Mount Panorama, and you can have one of the most perfect days and you can do everything right, but you can also get caught up in someone else's drama. It's so easy to get caught up in drama at the top of the mountain and have absolutely nothing to do with it. So they'd be still holding their breath. They know they've got a great team, they've got a great driver pairing, but it certainly will play on their mind as far as just trying to keep that clean, straight race car towards the end of the race.
Yep, so that's Brody Kostecki. Behind him is the privateer driver of Griffin Gardner. He's teaming up with Damon Woods. So Gardner steps into the car. Quick peddler in a supercar. He'll hope to try and pick up a slipstream off that Boost Mobile Racing Commodore. And they begin their runs. So they've offset themselves from the pack. So what we can see right now, and here's the issue, is these drivers are approaching hell. Now, is that Kostecki? Has he made a mistake at turn one? He has. He's run straight off the track.
Kostecki or Warren?
That was hard to tell. I think it was Brody Kostecki.
No, Warren. There we go.
Oh, no, excuse me.
Yeah, so looks like he just got the left rear on the grass, unfortunately, into the braking zone. I saw what we saw was like a little bit of puff of smoke, or obviously kicked up a little bit of dirt. So watch this left rear as he gets on the brakes and turns in. Oh, he's close. Yep, it's exactly what's happened. He's just touched the edge of that grass, and the car has not liked that one bit.
Yeah, he's kept it out of the wall, which is important, but one of the two Boost Mobile Racing cars out there, Dane Warren, who sits provisionally on pole. Will that make him nervous at all with the track temp cooling down? Do we think somebody can beat his time?
Look, I think at the moment they're pretty comfortable. What is it? It's just over 3/10. So, I mean, at this stage, God, look at this over the top of the mountain. That's the last thing you want to see as a driver. And if you're on a hot lap and you know that these guys are out of the way, that is still majorly off-putting. Like you can see, look at these cars are all off the track. That's obviously not ideal. This is a huge distraction too. Everyone's doing the right thing, but look at this. There's a car. There we go. Like we were just saying, it's chaos up there when you've got guys on a fast lap.
And that's Dane Warren, who ran off the track. He's still going fast. Technically, he's still on a fast lap here, but almost crashed straight into the back of Brenton Hobson, right at Skyline, into the S's, into the dipper, and this is ridiculous with the traffic. Now, that's what I was going to mention before Warren went off the track, was I see a big bunch of cars, and here they all are, and this has become a mess, and race control will have a strong, stern look at this one.
Yeah, look, I think the team should have been on to Warren. Like, obviously, his lap's not going to count because he had that off track. They should have been in his ear to say that there's a fair bit of traffic up there. But you can see one of the cars got damaged too. Is that the 994? Looks like it's missing a rear deck lid and spoiler. So that's obviously not ideal. He'll off track. He'll probably head to the pits.
Yep, that's Brady Baldwin. Send it Sim Sports car. And what's the 36 doing here? And Josh Anderson straight into the lane in the Cool Drive Mustang. So second run's coming in now. Driver's about to begin those laps. And that's not a good ideal run. I love this shot right now because you can just see the absolute chaos we were expecting into Murray's.
Mate, how frustrating as a driver. I know the stewards and the teams will be all over this because it's not healthy. It could cause some big accidents up the top of the mountain. It's just such, I don't know, like as a driver, you just don't want to see it, especially when you're trying to prep yourself for such a long lap. You know, you've got 2 minutes of fast racing, but if you make a mistake or something goes wrong, you've got to get back to pit lane and hopefully not, fix too many dramas. But yeah, that's the last thing a driver wants to see. That shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, it's the challenge of offsetting yourself from the pack. It can be rewarding. It can also be penalizing. And either way, it causes chaos nevertheless. Enjoy this shot. How about that?
Mate, love the sound of... Oh, the car's just ripping over the top of it.
And on towards the cutting they go. Critical runs through here. On towards Reed Park, through to the metal grate. Have a look at the 89. Wayne Burke is absolutely flooring it. There's the grate. Simulated, virtually made on iRacing for everybody. Now, I thought he swiped the wall there. Everybody just caught a glimpse of something else happening. Burke here is approaching a bit of traffic. They're on hot runs too. This is a tough braking zone. He is wheeling that Commodore like he's never driven a supercar before.
Mate, when he caught that little bit of curb, you could see that really put him offline, and that struggled into his braking zone. He almost wasn't right on the apex there. He sort of maybe made a little bit of a mistake, probably cost him a little bit of time there, but man, is he having a red hot go.
Talk about links to the supercar universe in the real world. Wayne Burke, an engineer for Team 18. So he comes through Conrad right now, probably calculating what spring rates in his head and all that kind of stuff as he's going. Just kidding, that's going to be least on his mind. And this is, I like to say this is the toughest braking zone. I always struggle with Murray, Sandman. That final braking zone is the one that you struggle with.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're having a red hot go and you're in a little bit of traffic, and of course, when you think about it too, when you start getting towards the end of this race, if you're doing a double stint or something like that, it's easy for those little places to catch you out.
Purple sector for Van Gisbergen. Myers jumps up to second. Van Gisbergen promotes himself up to seventh. Jake Burton provisionally on the front row. Well, it's not the front row because Brody Kostecki now has jumped into second. And remember, we have a top 10 shootout after this. But look at the gap. 0.02 of a second between pole and second.
Absolutely. That's as close as you can get, isn't it? Like those two Boost mobile cars separated by that margin is incredible. That's really cool to see.
Really, really cool. How about the gap? Top 10 here, separated by 7/10. Top 8 separated by half a second. It's oh so close, but it's that 10th position held by Reina Costello. Can Anderson get himself up into the top 10? I think Anderson now, is he beginning a lap? Because I don't see him on the timing screen. So this will be a hot run for Josh Anderson here.
Yeah, and of course, Anderson fresh off that Aussie Racing Cars Series championship win this year. Tremendous effort, and cool to see him in the Cool Drive colours too. That's great. That's obviously his real world sponsors, but it's great to see him in the series with those colours as well.
They've helped him a heck of a bunch this year in terms of support, financially, socially, anything you need, and they've helped him win that title, as you mentioned. Josh Anderson wheeling this thing today with Josh Muggleton. At least tomorrow, I should say, actually, for the 1000. 2 separate days of action. And remember, that will kick off 11 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, the coverage tomorrow. Race starts 11:30 a.m. And that will be the full 1000. Yes, we do all that virtually. As Anderson now screaming through to the top of the mountain, highest point of the circuit of 174 meters of elevation change. Ignore the good view. Now the sparks, will that cause a lap invalidation there?
Oh, he touched the wall, no doubt. Looks like he got away with it, though. No damage. I think he can probably get away with just a little bit of a scrape. And he's pushing on with it, too. So I imagine it looks like he's still good to go.
He's still pushing. Oh, that was close to the exit.
He's not mucking about, is he? He didn't care about the tap across the top. He kept pushing on, and on exit, man, he just rubbed up the gun. Here we go. Watch this. Gets into the corner. Watch this on exit. Bang. A little bit there.
It looked soft from that view, didn't it? It looked much heavier from the camera angle we saw before live. Anderson's still continuing here. How are his sectors looking? No personal bests. And you can just see, it hasn't been smooth, and you'll go straight into the pits.
It's probably the best thing to do, because obviously it's a little bit unnerving when you make contact with the wall too. So he's obviously seen, you know what, it's probably best just to go straight back to the pits, get a new set of tyres and push on with it, because look at the time. It's 23 minutes already gone out of this 30-minute session. So we are close to wrapping this things up.
And more than 90% of the field are exiting the pits right now. 40 drivers, 40 cars.
Oh, look at that. Now, do you want to be on the racetrack in there, or do you want to be in the commentary box?
I think it's easier to find a needle in a haystack, mate, after watching this. This is a ball of string that is impossible to unravel. Who's made their way to the front there? The 21 of Robert Gibbs. He's had enough of it. He's going to go pedal straight through. I think he's actually on a hot run, so that's what these drivers have had to be careful of.
Yeah, wow, how disheartening would that be to approach all that traffic? I know everyone does the best job they can to get out of the way, but it still does take a little bit of the driver's focus. Oh, looks like huge damage to the side of that car. That, man, where was that down the straight? I hope that wasn't caught up. Another car off too. I hope that wasn't a catch up with everyone slowing down in those, you know, preparing for a hot lap. I hope that wasn't a cause of that.
So Sean McNamara, he's here in the 951.
Oh, look. Yep, that's exactly what happened. Oh, wow. He was just a victim of circumstances there. Everyone's just trying to get their lap up. And we said, look at this view. He's just got absolutely nowhere to go. Bang!
Oh.
Huge contact.
Wow, thank God that's virtual.
Yeah, that's less than ideal, isn't it? That's unreal. Oh, and there's more drama too. The 22's been caught up. Looks like you got hit from behind. Oh, it's still going on too.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. And it's just, I mean, we see this all the time, virtually at least, at Mount Panorama. I mean, you don't want to do group quali. It's less entertaining for us. At least virtually, we're lucky that we don't have to deal with hospital visits or anything like that. But that was, I mean, that's a red flag.
Repair bills. Yeah,
yeah.
Well, that too. Yeah. I mean, these guys should know. They should probably try and get themselves a little bit of space. I know it's easier said than done when you're up here in the commentary box, but surely that's something that they would have been well aware of. It's been happening for the whole 25 minutes. So it's just a shame that it's caught a couple of people out.
Yeah, now, if I'm not mistaken, so it was the 951 of Sean McNamara, and I think he made contact with, it would have been the 888, was it? The Premier Racing Team car. That was Rick Kuznetsov. I might be wrong with that, but that's what I saw.
Another car on the grass. Look at that. Oh, man. And there's already, look at the damage to some of these cars. That's crazy.
And the trouble is here, track temp cooling down. Everyone's eager to get a run and eager to get a slipstream. Look what happened to Shane Van Gisbergen. He got a nice draft, a nice tow on both his last two runs, and he's able to promote himself into 8th, top 8. And that'll send him to the top 10 shootout. As everybody begins what we're expecting to be their final runs in qualifying. Who will enter that critical, that elusive top 10 shootout that everybody so wants to be in? Griffin Gardner holds the 10th spot for the moment. A 2-minute 2.4 is that cutoff time to beat.
Mate, you can see just how crazy it is coming up the straight. Like people weaving, trying to get out of the way. And Gisbergen manages to get past, but it's hold your breath stuff, isn't it? And like you said, we're in the dying minutes of this. It's all about making that top 10 for having a crack at the shootout. Everyone wants to make the top 10 shootout in Bathurst. So that's highly, highly on their list. But man, a few of them have got their work cut out for them in these dying minutes.
A couple of people pulling off. They're setting themselves up for a final run with the track conditions cooling. Virtually.
Oh, look at that! Van Gisbergen's into the fence! Oh, that's Burton as well! Huge contact at the top of the mountain! This is not what we wanted to see! The track is jammed! This is big chaos!
Absolute carnage, and that's going to end qualifying for a lot of drivers. Who's going to pull it off? Van Gisbergen. I think he's just got to stay there for the moment. Ironically, that might be a good spot to stay on. Now, how did this one begin?
Oh, man, that's heartbreaking for these guys. Obviously trying to mind their own business, get on with it. But, man, look at that. Oh, huge contact. I don't know what happened there, but Burton was an innocent bystander. Look at that. Was a huge hit too. Unbelievable stuff at the top of the mountain.
Now, Burton's at least through to the shootout. Luckily, virtually, we can repair these cars quickly. But who's that ended qualifying for? I can see at least for the moment Burton's in the lane. Now, this is still going on, or is this a replay? No, this is just a replay what's happening. It kept continuing on for a good whole 500 metres, this accident.
Yeah, I think the frustrating part about that too is that people saw the drama happening and they didn't slow down. They just kept going on with it. So, yeah, heartbreaking for some of those people that aren't inside the top 10 that were having their last red hot go.
Yeah, so who's in the pits right now? Kostecki into the lane. His qualifying's done. Van Gisbergen 2, Greg Galt. Their qualifying session is over. Dane Warren still in the lane. Scott now from 7th. That's James Scott into the lane too. So 4 drivers in your top 10 in the pit lane. And they'll have to wait for everybody else to make their way through. The 143, Adam Briggs, his qualifying session's over. He won't be in the top 10. Critical, though, for Josh Anderson, who currently sits in 15th. Hasn't set personal best so far. And I think...
might be ready.
Yeah, no, he's getting ready for a lap. Yeah, excuse me. So he's still got one more run left, Josh Anderson.
And Burton was involved in that accident, so he's sitting in P3 at the moment, so that's obviously his night done as well for qualifying. So hopefully he can hold on, but Van Gisbergen's the one that could be close because he's sitting in P8 at the moment, so he's going to be holding his breath a little bit just to make sure that he actually makes it through to the top 10.
Now, how about this? Griffin Gardner and Richard Hampstead, 2-minute 4.415 for 10th position for Gardner, 0.417 for Hampstead. And the track, this isn't a track jam, this is a bit of traffic here because we have 30 seconds to go before that checkered flag waves.
Yeah, all just trying to find themselves a little bit of real estate. You can see a few of the TTR cars just teaming up, trying to give each other that draft help. So, man, crucial, the dying seconds. We are 20 seconds away from qualifying ending, but obviously these guys are still allowed to push on with their lap.
The final runs. Who's going to make it? You can see on the left-hand side of your pictures, Warren Kostecki in the lane, your top two. We think they're safe, unless something dramatic comes out of this group. Sebastian Flock now 22nd. He crosses the line, no good. But it's all eyes on Josh Anderson. Will he make the top 10?
Man, I am keen to see if Van Gisbergen could hold on. Obviously, we saw him involved in that incident, so he is just parking and watching the timesheets now just to see if he stays inside that top 10.
And this is where that accident took place. As the checkered flag waves, session is over. Screaming past the grate. And this is where the accident ended, right here. Took forever to get that accident sorted just a few minutes ago. So how's it looking so far? Who's setting good times at the moment? We don't think anyone's good enough so far to enter the top 10s. I see a couple personal bests from Richard Hampstead, who sits 11th. That could be critical to enter the top 10.
And he's got teammates in front of him too, so hopefully he'll be able to sneak a little bit of draft. I see one of the TTR cars there flashing headlights. They're all keen to get on with it, but this is Hampstead, so we're on board. Look at the draft that he's getting from his teammate. So this could be crucial because he's got no one holding him up, and he's just in that zone where he's able to capitalise on that draft.
Racing and qualifying, and also racing for a position in the shootout. Job Stewart in 13th. He's ahead of this bunch. He's also lining up the timing sheets. Will he enter the top 10? He's right up ahead there. And he's still setting a good time through the chase. So it's Stewart, Hampstead, they're on good runs. Rainer Costello sits 9th. Brady Myers in 4th. We don't think he's going to improve his time. Here is Job Stewart, though. Final time to cross the line. Stewart in 13th for a shot into the top 10.
Oh,
he does it. 10th. Right on the bubble, but does Hampstead improve? No, Anderson into the top 10. Anderson knocks out Job Stewart. Gardner improved as well at the last moments. And luckily for Josh Anderson, he's made it right on the bubble, right 9th position. Good stuff from him. Just looking behind to see if anyone else is going to improve, but we think that's it. Anderson, with a last prayer, makes it into the top 10.
Mate, he will be absolutely stoked with that, and everyone at Cool Drive, they should be pretty proud of that. That was an awesome effort to get the job done. We saw the chaos at the top of the mountain. He managed to miss all that. He was on his out lap. He put down a lap in the dying stages and makes it through to the top 10 shootout. How exciting.
That's clutch stuff. Josh Anderson, well done. Rainer Costello just survived, just in the final moments. 2-minute 2.378. Gardner improved. Yeah, look at that time as well. By the way, Gardner improved on that last run, but then he was knocked off by Josh Anderson, who improved too. So it was oh so close. Your top 10 separated by, now what is that? Just over 0.6 of a second.
How good is that? Man, oh man, did this session show you everything? We saw drama. We saw everyone just heart and mouth stuff for those dying stages, but that's what Bathurst is all about, isn't it? It brings everything to the table, and now we've got the top 10 shootout.
And the scary part about it, a Boost Mobile Racing 1-2. Warren first, Brody Kostecki second. Jake Burton, despite the accident, was the only other driver, apart from your top two, to enter the 2-minute ones. So good job by him for VRS Racing. Couple of TTR cars behind in 4th and 5th. That was Brady Myers and Corey Shepherd, who's driving that one with Madison down. And then it's Ethan Grieg-Galt, James Scott, Shane Van Gisbergen with some good runs too. Real World Bathurst 1000 winner, and shows everybody how to do it in the virtual world as well. 9th place was this guy, Josh Anderson. Thumbs up. Look at the photo as well. That's quite fitting.
Yeah, absolutely. He'll be chuffed with that, and to do it on this stage at Bathurst, that's yeah, that was really cool to see.
And then Rainer Costello in 10th. That's good for Rayner, isn't it? Making a name for himself in the ERT number 56.
Absolutely.
How's Rayner been faring this season so far?
Yeah, good. I think the one thing that you take away from this, though, for Rayner is that he's in the top 10. Regardless of what happens in the shootout, he's still 10th. So he's got nothing to lose here. So it's one of those days where it's like, you know, if he can bring something to the table now and find a little bit more, all he can do is improve. He can't do any worse.
Yeah, great stuff by him in that 56. Driving that one today with Brayley Frid. Here's a replay. Now, this is of the chaos that ensued. Now, who did he collect here? Oh, and it was Van Gisbergen losing it, wasn't it?
Yeah, he had a big moment there, and then that was just a concertina effect. So, you know what? Obviously, Shane to be kicking himself. That's not... Oh, man, look at it. Just gets sideways. He's a passenger. Absolute passenger. And then, of course, the Logitech car behind just gets caught up. There's absolutely nowhere to go. The only good thing we can take away from this is that it wasn't that slow traffic that was balking someone. So it was just, everyone was just caught up as a victim of circumstances. Everyone was having a red hot go. And unfortunately, the car just got away from Van Gisbergen, and then just everyone else was just on the scene. And
well,
look at them piling in.
I'd love to know if somebody at least chuckled at that. Probably somebody who made their way through the Binfield car, quite fitting, straight to the bin as the accidents continue.
That's the 77 of Down and Shepherd.
Now this continued. Now what is this? I said 500 meters. It feels like this accident took place for about half a kilometer, because look, it kept continuing up the mountain.
Yeah, well, people are still pushing on, I think. Look at them. I mean, obviously we knew it was towards the dying stages, but I think everyone's still trying to pick their way through it. Look how fast these cars are coming on the incident. And you can see, look what Burton and Hobson they've done. They've just got straight onto the grass and got out of their way the best they can. So, man, everyone just tried to do the best they could out of a bad situation. Unfortunately, no one obviously wanted that to happen, and no one planned on it. It was just one of those things.
And how fast are you going through there? 200 clicks.
Oh, now, watch this. This is where people stopping right on the apex isn't ideal. Again, everyone just doing the best job they can to get out of the way. So that actually didn't turn out too bad. So that's good.
And then now what's happened? Oh, this is the same accident, I would presume.
Yeah,
Maybe
watch
not.
this on board from Scott. He's just come around the corner. You can see the smoke. Tries to check up. Bang, bang. Just absolute passenger. Oh, and then gets drilled again by Burton.
There's nothing you can do there. Nothing for the Synergy Sim racing car. And
again. Oh, wow.
funnily enough, now Scott's kept, he keeps going forward here. I thought he'd do a full 360 as well. Now that's why. Look at the front of that one. That was binned, and his qualifying session was over after that.
Yeah, and of course, like we said, dying stages, there wasn't even enough time to get back and restart and go again. But, whew, heart and mouth stuff. But, boy, oh boy, it's the Boost Mobile cars 1-2 up front.
I quite enjoyed that session, and you're right. Couple of top two there. So it's Dane Warren and Brody Kostecki who will head through to the shootout. Now, remember, from P11 onwards, that'll sort out your grid for the rest of for tomorrow's Bathurst 1000 for the Logitech G Supercar Pro Invitational Series. Burton in third. Good job by him. A couple of TTR cars there on the second row so far. Brady Myers to the shootout. Corey Shepherd, along with Madison Down, in fifth. Greg Galt's sixth position. Scott, who we just spoke about, who was involved in an accident. A lot of drivers in the top 10 were involved in that accident. He was seventh. And then we'll see Van Gisbergen, Josh Anderson, and Rainer Costello will head out first for our top 10 shootout. Time to get a breather from us. We'll be back shortly. Top 10 shootout right after this. You're watching the 2022 Logitech G Supercar Pro Invitational.
When I'm driving an F1 car, steering wheel feedback is one of the most important things. It helps me decide when to brake and how hard. It's how I feel the surface of the road. Every bump in the terrain, every wheel slip. If my tyres are starting to lose grip, I can sense that immediately. When I'm driving in a sim, I need that same tactility, that level of detail I have in a real car.
Racing games have come a long way in the last 20 years. Nothing's really changed in how we approach force feedback in all that time. Cutting-edge sims are now so realistic, drivers across all disciplines are using them for training. Our main goal when designing True Force was to improve the number of sensations that you actually feel, to put you better in contact with the car that you're driving so that you can improve your performance and that enjoyment of driving on a track. The physical feedback needs to be more immediate or accurate, or a player loses immersion or control.
Game developers are still having to recreate their force feedback from a set library of effects instead of deriving it from real-time modelling.
True Force is special because it levels the playing field for PC and console gamers. You're now getting the extra level of precision and detail that you need, regardless of which platform is your choice. This is not just iteration, it's total evolution. True Force force feedback works differently. It hooks directly into the physics engine of the game. Games already calculate the forces on the tyres and the steering wheel. The True Force algorithm is able to process this data at up to 4,000 times a second. It will even use the game's audio engine and pass it directly on to the driver.
We spend a lot of time as audio designers trying to make each car sound unique and as realistic as we possibly can. Being able to integrate the audio into the force feedback is something that we've wanted to do for a long time, and True Force enables us to do that. And the ability to send the audio to the wheel, to have it respond and vibrate with the loss of traction, really increases my ability to give that immersion to the player.
You can sense the changing surface of the road. You'll be able to feel if the back end of the car is losing grip.
The first time we had it running in the build, you could feel the wheel humming and vibrating as we revved the engine. Our immediate reaction was it really adds another level of immersion.
The first thing you're going to feel with a True Force wheel is the engine note. The minute the engine starts in the game, you will know exactly which car you are driving. True Force is the beginning of something new. This is now the foundation for all wheels that we'll produce in the future. This extra level of information gives everyone all the information they need to learn how to control their car better. True Force benefits any racing fan looking for a more realistic driving experience.
Because winning is all about feeling.
Hi, I'm Ethan Grigolt, driver of the Evolution Racing Team and the Logitech G Racing Hyundai XL. Before I got into real racing, sim racing pretty much taught me everything I know when it comes to racing lines on the track, car control, racecraft around other cars, just everything to do with racing I learned on sim racing first. When I jumped into the real car, it was a bit of a wake-up call. There's a lot more sensations in a real car than you get in the sim, but once you get past that, pretty much a lot of the techniques are exactly the same, and if you're good in the sim and you're not afraid too much in the real world, you should be able to translate it easily.
You can
Back live from the mountain, top 10 shootout time. Can't get enough of this place. Mount Panorama, 6.2 kilometers in length. Australia's holy grail. It's a circuit we will always remember and never forget in Australian motorsport folklore. We saw so many incidents, so much action in our 30-minute qualifying session. We saw a lot of blistering lap times too, a 2 minute 1.7 by the Boost Mobile racing car of Dane Warren and Jared Filsell. They will be last to head out in the shootout coming up right now. Jonathan Simon joined by Sandman. Sandman, welcome back, mate. As always, we had a great qualifying session, but now the mood changes. It's a quiet, eerie place here at Mount Panorama as we await single car, one by one, for this shootout. Reina Costello will be up first.
Absolutely, Jonathan. It's the one lap that everyone craves for in Australian motorsport. To have the mountain all to yourself for that one lap is just something that drivers dream about, and dream about getting it right too. You know, we think about these laps. It's Murph's lap of the gods that always sticks out in my mind. You know, it's Brocky attacking the mountain in the Commodore, just having a red hot go. They're the moments that you think about when it's like this, and it's the one time that I don't enjoy being a commentator, mate, is because I want to be at Mount Panorama turning laps like these guys. Unfortunately, don't have the talent, but man, oh man, how good is it to watch? Still catching our breath from that 30-minute quali session, but here it is, the mountain, the one-lap shootout. It's a top 10 shootout.
Yeah, those are virtual times, by the way, 4 p.m. virtually at least. Or maybe you're in WA at the moment. It's currently 4 p.m. over there, so that's quite fitting. Currently 7:50 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Daylight Savings Time. 29 degrees Celsius track temp. Similar conditions to qualifying. That'll help, won't it, Sandman? Because now the drivers will be straight into the same rhythm, same kind of muscle memory they were just in for just over half an hour.
Absolutely. And what you say, like muscle memory, that's huge, especially around here when you're giving it your best red hot go. You know, this mountain deserves so much respect, and you almost hold your breath when you're on these one-lappers, don't you? Because it's so crucial just to get the top of the mountain right. You know, you see how these guys were having a red-hot go right up against the concrete, sometimes going too far and bouncing off the concrete, and that's what these guys are trying to use up every inch of this racetrack and give it the best they can.
That's the first car up. Reina Costello in the number 56 Evolution Racing Team Mustang. He's driving that today and tomorrow with Bailey Frid for these endurance rounds. Where's the pressure? Where's the pressure around the shootout lap for you, Sandman? Is it turn one? Is it the out lap where you feel the nerves? Maybe even the end of the lap? Is it the chase? Is it Murray's? Where do you find the pressure most?
Mate, it's everywhere. But isn't turn one crucial? Because if you make a mistake there, you don't carry that speed all the way up the mountain. And that's already putting you sort of on the back foot. So it's crucial to get this corner right, get the apex. And thankfully, we don't have the same dramas that the real world Bathurst had this year. We didn't have water. And that was a huge key for that. That was a big part of the race. Of course, it caused that opening dramas on lap one. So thankfully, for the moment, I guess it's hashtag soon, we don't have rain. So these guys need to be mindful and probably make the most of these dry sessions.
Yeah, galvanise themselves for sure, as we're still awaiting for word on when Costello will head out to begin his top 10 shootout run. Won't be too much longer as we're ready to go here. He's got some karting experience, as you can tell. Looking great in that photo, don't you reckon? Reina Costello looking pretty smooth in this kart.
Absolutely. Very jealous too. I miss kart racing. It's been a long time since I was racing karts, but yeah, it's good to have him. You know, these guys have got a lot of hobbies outside of sim racing, whether it be go-kart racing. You touched on real-world racing, and so it's just such a good passion to have. And to be able to do this at home in the middle of the night or wherever you may be around the world to team up with different drivers, I think we're very fortunate to have this sim racing community.
So race control just explaining the procedures now to drivers, making sure everybody's doing the right thing. 2 minute 1.7 provisional pole for Dane Warren. The scary part about that is he set that lap time early in the qualifying session, and that's when the track was slowest. One of the beauties of iRacing, this track rubbers in. That's simulated. Wet weather to come soon, Sandman, because this place looks, I mean, it looks like a totally different place to 2 weeks ago in the real world.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, can you imagine this place? Like, it's tricky enough, I guess, real world where these guys have got to take on the weather conditions, but to have it in the sim racing community, man, it's going to be heart and mouth stuff. So, yeah, very jealous, and wish I was sitting in the seat like Rainer is right now.
Yep, start the engine, mate. There we go. I was going to say, he hasn't stalled, has he, already? Or maybe he has. Oh, no, he's just waiting out for instructions, I would say.
Just been a good boy, waiting for race control to open up pit lane. So obviously he's thinking about this lap that he's got in front of him. He's just waiting for the word, and then it's this whole racetrack all to himself.
Well, there's a green cone that signifies pit exit. He won't get in trouble, I hope, for exiting pit exit a little bit earlier here, will Rainer Costello?
I think the stewards will be pretty kind on him, but there it is. Yep, he's just preparing himself, but obviously he hasn't left pit lane. That's the main thing.
Yep, one cone hill as we get ready for his run. So 23 corners around Mount Panorama. We talked about the elevation change here, 174 meters, lowest point at Murray's, highest point 800 meters above sea level over at the top of the mountain. This is the view from Rainer Costello. This is what he will see on board, and if he's using virtual reality, this will be exactly what he sees on board for his hot lap and his one and only shootout run today.
Absolutely. We've had some incredible feedback about Visor Cam, and we're rapt to bring it to you here from the Logitech G Supercars Pro Invitational as Rainer Costello leaves pit lane, and here he is on his outlap preparing for the top 10 shootout.
So with a run, building the nerves, everything, this is the tough part, isn't it, Sandman? Just trying to get used to, you know, how the car feels in these conditions. One of the toughest parts as well is, if you think about it, he actually hasn't driven this car for about 20 minutes, and that can unsettle the rhythm just by a touch.
Absolutely. He'll just take his time around this lap because everyone has a different way about how they approach their laps. Of course, they bring up a little bit of temperature into the tyre, but of course they're careful not to take the goodness out of it too, because obviously these tyres are fresh green tyres as they go on, and they do sort of use up a little bit of wear on your outlap. So providing he doesn't go too hard, I think he's fairly safe at the moment. And obviously everyone's got their own rhythm and pattern that they sort of settle themselves into as far as that.
Rainer's from Mackay, Queensland. We know there's some thunderstorms going on over in New South Wales, up in Queensland where you are too, Sandman. We hope everybody's staying safe. We saw the floods in Victoria recently too, and it certainly wasn't a pretty sight. So definitely hope everybody's staying safe and enjoying the coverage tonight. This is qualifying. This is the shootout to sort out the top 10 for tomorrow's 1,000. Yes, a full 1,000 kilometre race. It will start 11:30 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. Rainer Costello, want to feel old for a second, Sandman? 17 years of age.
Oh, man, are you kidding me? Here I am, 47. Don't do the math.
30 years.
Yeah, stop it. But yeah, good on him. Having a red hot go, but the mountain all to himself. How exciting.
You were probably doing shootouts before he was even conceived. It's been a while. It makes me feel a little bit old too in my 20s. So thanks, Rainer.
Poor man.
As he comes to set up his lap here. Has a lot of goals in the sim racing world, and to be in the shootout and to make a name for yourself, driving for ERT as well, one of the most established teams in the Australian sim racing universe. This is a great stage for him. All the pressure, everybody eyes watching you for this one and only shootout run he will have. Here he goes to begin the lap. Sandman, take us through it.
So he gets a good exit, got that tyre up on the curb. Now we'll be looking at his braking motor. Ross just want to get in as deep as he can. The car's not moving around. The car looks really good as he's on turn in. Of course, we're a little bit biased. That Logitech G paint job looks pretty good as he heads up Mountain Straight.
And this is where you just begin to ease the nerves. A lot of pressure to nail one braking zone, and now you've got heaps more to come. And I mean a lot.
Look at him hard on the brakes here. Gets the turn in. Nice entry. Car looks for a little bit exit there, a little bit loose on exit, but nothing. He wouldn't have lost too much there. So looks like he's fairly comfortable at the moment. Of course, he hasn't got any times to put himself up against him as he gets into the cutting. Nice on exit. Yeah, that was good too, wasn't it?
Yeah, and straight through to Reed Park. Here he comes. Big accident here in qualifying. Luckily, no traffic to deal with this time. He's right up close to the wall. How is he through the grate? Now that is edgy stuff right there. Inches perfect. Inch perfect there through the top of the mountain.
Mate, that's exactly where you want the car to be, right up there where you're almost taking the paint off it. It just wants to fold those mirrors in. Nice and calm. Into the dipper. Looks good.
Track temp 28.9 degrees. Take note of that. Write that down in your notepad because we've got another 9 cars after this. Bit squirrely. I think he locked the rears by just a touch into the elbow.
God, used perfect. Look at that. You used every inch of the racetrack on exit. That was perfect. You couldn't have made that line any cleaner. So really good run. Now it's about just watching those lights, hitting the shift lights, pulling the gear and trying to hold your foot down flat as hard as you can into the chase.
Don't butcher it here, young gun. Here he goes. Right on the brakes. Hits his marker perfectly. How's he going to be through the apex? Clips the curb by just a touch. And let's see how he's going to fare through Murray's. Very quick sector times so far for him. We have 6 sectors on iRacing compared to 3 in the real world. Of course, purple is the first car to go out so far. Reina Costello across the line. What's the time? 2-minute 1.7 was the time in the normal qualifying session. 2-minute 2.7. So he's a little bit slower compared to his qualifying time.
Yeah, I guess it all comes down to now that it's just obviously the track temperature's a little bit different. Everyone's going to only have that one lap at having a crack at it. So it might not be too bad. It's going to be interesting to see how it holds up.
And we'll have a chat to him now. Hey, Rainer, you got us a good lap there, buddy. A bit slower than your normal qualifying run. How was it for you?
Oh, I'll be honest. My first shootout, and I was very nervous starting the lap. So my aim was just to put in a nice smooth lap and hopefully benefit off of anyone that maybe has a mishap. But yeah, it was pretty cool to have the mountain all to myself for that one.
Can I also add quickly, you locked the rears a little bit into the elbow. Was there anywhere throughout the lap you thought you could have done a little bit better?
I had quite a big slide off of turn 2, off of Griffin's, and that possibly cost me 1 to 2 temps. But overall, I'm decently happy with the lap. It was obviously I was a bit nervous, and that probably hindered my performance. But yeah, decently happy with that one.
Well, you were 10th in qualifying. You could promote yourself here. So let's see how you go here. A lot of nerves for Josh Anderson coming up. Thanks, Reina Costello. We'll leave you to it. Great lap from him, Sandman. But this man, Josh Anderson, came up clutch in qualifying. He wasn't supposed to be in this shootout, but it was that final run that got him through.
Absolutely. It was a close call, wasn't it? So for him, being in the top 10 shootout is just ticking the box. So, and like Rainer, you know, when you're 9th, 10th, you don't really have too much to lose when it's a 1,000 like this. So now he just wants to have a red hot go and hopefully make up for anyone else's misfortune.
Here he comes. 2-minute 2.797 a beat. We'll have the sector times for you. And where is his braking zone into turn 1? That's a little bit later, I would say, than Reina Costello. And I think he's absolutely nailed turn 1 so far.
He used every bit of racetrack on exit too, so that was good. Good car placement as you ride that curb on exit. So now, again, it's just no shift points, just looking for the optimal shift. Now it's into the braking marker. How does the car move around? Well, he's a little bit wide. That didn't hurt him, though. So nice use of the racetrack.
Yep, purple through sector 1. 2-minute 2.2 in qualifying. That was his time there. That's his reference point. Through the cutting, that's nice. A little bit further away from the wall, I think, compared to Costello. So he might have lost a little bit of time there. Let's get that second sector time up much quicker. Purple as well for Josh Anderson.
Yeah, nice and quick. See how much that left front picked up too in the cutting. That was really interesting just to see how he got it turned in. Right up against the wall. Beautiful stuff. Gets the car turned in. And now it's hold your breath. It's that skyline. Rides the curb nicely. Down. Did he catch the wall again? I think I saw sparks.
Now, I hope that doesn't invalidate the lap time for Anderson. 3 purple sectors, so he's right on it compared to Reina Costello. At least Costello's got a lap time in. A little bit slower, green for Anderson through sector 4, so not quicker than Reina Costello. Has he used up most of the rubber through the early part of the lap? Will the tyres drop off here to end his run?
I think he's really gotten with that exit. That was a nice exit. It's now, again, looking for those shift points. Foot flat to the throttle. Foot flat to the floor, I should say. Full throttle. Look at this turn in. Love this camera. Beautiful. Now it's hard on the brakes. Car looks good. Car looks stable. Is he going to get some air? A little bit of air on those curbs. Nice and smooth on exit.
Good stuff from Josh Anderson. One more braking zone to go. We talked about the 2-minute 2 in qualifying as his reference point. Where is this time going to set him? Across the line for Josh Anderson. That time is a 2-minute 2.1. How about that? What a run for Anderson in that TTR Cool Drive Racing Mustang.
Mate, took a nice chunk of time, didn't it? So it's like nearly 7/10. So he'd be pretty chuffed with that, I think.
Hey Josh, it's Jonathan Simon here. Welcome, mate. And that was a brilliant lap, quicker than your qualifying run. That was awesome.
Well, it was okay, I suppose. I didn't do a great job in qualifying, so I think anything would have beaten that lap. But yeah, it was okay, I suppose. I think the last sector was a bit average, and I was a bit of a big girl over the top. But yeah, I think that as the track temp cools down, I think you'll see people well into the one. So we'll it's just about being in the show and getting some good exposure for the sponsors, and we'll go racing tomorrow.
Can I also add as well, the track temp has cooled down just a little bit. Did you feel that as a driver? Did you feel the car gripping a little bit better than qualifying? Maybe that contributed to your quicker time as well.
Oh yeah, the track's way faster than qualifying because there's so many less cars on track. So the track was, I think you'll see people well into the ones. So yeah, we're in the show and all a bit of fun, I suppose.
Yeah, perfect. All right, we'll leave you to it, Josh. That was Josh Anderson, who currently sits in provisional pole, Sandman. This man up next, a two-time Bathurst 1000 winner. Now, I'm not talking virtual here. I'm talking real world. Shane Van Gisbergen is up next.
Yeah, he's no stranger to the top 10 shootout, is he? But this time, he's in the Binfield Racing Commodore. Nice little play on words for that car. I reckon it's a cool little paint scheme, and it's good to see Shane Van Gisbergen taking part.
Let's see how he fares. He had a bit of a bonus with the draft in quali, so we'll see if this run will be good without the draft. Sets up a nice start to the lap here for Van Gisbergen. The braking point into Hell Corner is critical.
Yeah, we've spoken about that before, isn't it? Just because you carry that speed, so you really want to get a nice clean exit. And he's done exactly what Anderson did, just use up every bit of racetrack on that exit. So nice run. And now it's just crucial about setting himself up for across the top of the mountain.
33 years of age, one of the few Kiwis in the field, and purple through Sector 1. Van Gisbergen begins his flyer on fire. Past Griffin's Bend. And now on towards the cutting. This is where the lap can go oh so wrong. Such a difficult braking zone. I think he's done a magnificent job of that, has Shane Van Gisbergen.
Yeah, nice and smooth. Didn't use as much racetrack on exit, but the car looked so good and settled. So I guess he wasn't too worried. He's not setting purples. Managed to get through that section. Of course, we saw his huge incident in qualifying in the final stages that took a few people out. Unfortunately, obviously it was just a little bit of an error, but at the end of the day, he's made the top 10 shootout and he's having a red hot go.
If anyone's going to feel least nervous for a qualifying run in qualifying, it'll be this man. Multiple champion in the Supercars universe. Won a couple of these 1000s already. Been on pole as usual. He's done everything in tin top racing. He's won all three major events at this racetrack. The 12-hour, the 6-hour, and the 1000. Conrod. And then a couple more braking zones to end his run.
Yeah, of course, now that you've survived the top of the mountain, it's just getting down through here. Wants to get as late and deep on the brakes as he can, just to set himself up for that little left-right. Because this part, he's done all the hard work. He's only got a couple of more stops to go. How will he fare? A 2:02.13 is the time he needs to beat.
Well, one purple sector it's showing for the moment. That might not be quicker than Josh Anderson's 2-minute 2.131. Across the line he will go. Final braking zone into Murray's. Done a decent job of that. Across the line goes Van Gisbergen. It's not enough. A 2-minute 2.256. 1/10 off pole position.
Man, not too bad though. There wasn't much in it, but I think he'd be fairly happy with that. You kick yourself sometimes that he doesn't get the job done, but I think he still put himself in a pretty decent spot.
We'll have a chat to him now. Gizzy, well done on that run, mate, but just fell short of pole position. How was the lap?
Oh, Shane, mate, if you don't mind. But yeah, too bad. Good bit of fun, and yeah, have a go tomorrow.
Now, talk about your run as well. It seemed like you had a great run through the top of the mountain, but did it all fall short towards the end, or where did you lose that time?
No, it was pretty good. It was a purple lap for me, so I'm stoked.
Did the track feel a little bit quicker for you? Compared
No
to the
idea,
first
mate.
session?
I was just hanging on to the thing.
All right, perfect. We'll leave you to it. Good luck for the race. Shane Van Gisbergen, who currently sits in second position, Sandman. Up next, James Scott.
Yeah, now you see he's just prepping himself. And I guess the beauty about where these guys are at now, when they're starting their lap, they've already got a time and they've got a marker on the board. So that usually gives them some sort of idea of how they're traveling. And of course, a lot of these times, teams, I should say, will have crew members in their ear. They'll have people that'll be helping them out with strategy, and they may even be able to give them a little bit of an idea over the radio as far as how their lap's traveling compared to Anderson. Now, driving with Wayne Burke today, so James Scott, Wayne Burke, a very good duo. One of the most underrated duos you'd say in the field. I think they're a terrific bunch, these two. They work really well together. Absolutely, and no mean feat. They're inside the top 10, so they're obviously getting the job done. And we know about Bathurst, it's a long race, anything can go wrong, and if you've got a decent driver pairing, you can be a strong contender at the end of it all. So out to begin his run, James Scott. 7th in qualifying, 2-minute 2.1. Won't be enough though, 2-minute 2.195, so track temp now, Sandman, what do you reckon? Still cooling down by just a touch. The advantage is, for those drivers going out last, I think they're going to have the best conditions. Yeah, absolutely. Like Kostecki and who else we got running there at the end is just, they'll all be looking at those temperatures to think about, you know, I think it will benefit them. Anderson mentioned it a little bit earlier, saying that the guys towards the end of the run it'll probably benefit them a little. But at the end of the day, you still have to put a lap together and not make any mistakes. James Scott, a lot of experience under his belt. Despite all that, you'd feel nervous nevertheless doing this. As he heads towards Griffin's Bend for the first time. He's right on it as well. He's really pushing for this lap so far. Purple through sector 1. That's a good time to begin your lap. Absolutely. He's not mucking around, is he? I love this commitment in through here. Hard on the brakes. We saw Anderson's left front pick up at that point, so his was fairly planted. Car looks good on exit, and now it's all about looking at sector splits, isn't it? Just across the top of the mountain. Yeah, a couple of different... My timing screen's showing in purple in a couple of sectors here, so I think I'll go with the TV screens. He is green, so it's a little bit slower than Josh Anderson. And if what he's saying is right, if he was just struggled during qualifying and he set a good banker there, Anderson could be in line here for a front row start, maybe even pole. So it's very, very close right now between Scott and Anderson through these first few sectors. Down the mountain he goes now. Try to keep it out of the walls, through the elbow, and then brace yourself for a couple more braking zones before you set your time. Man, I love that part of the racetrack. As a driver, I always held my breath through that section because you're like, man, I just don't want to make a mistake. You're so close to the walls, and now he's just, again, looking at that tacho, looking for the red lights, pulling the gears, trying to make it nice and sharp because he knows he needs to carry this pace. And look at this camera. Take sound, listen to this. Love it. Oh, he almost messed it, didn't he, as well? Just clipped the curb by a little bit. And then the final braking zone into Murray's. James Scott here, green through the first 5 sectors, of course. It's his only sector so far. Don't think it's good enough for pole for the moment. Will he spark a surprise through the final sector? And across the line, James Scott goes only second. Oh, that was very, very close. A monster final sector, and only 1/100th of a second off Anderson for pole. Man, he'll be absolutely stoked with that, I think. Absolutely. Well done. Good stuff from James Scott. James, first up, I hope you're there, James. Well done on the lap. We weren't expecting you to be 100th off pole. Where did that time come from?
Yeah, the lap wasn't that great, to be honest. I knew I had a lot more in it from what we got in qualifying. We just couldn't get a clean lap in, so we're a bit further back than what we probably should have been in terms of pace. But just didn't drive the best there in the shootout. It was okay. Just a few little errors that probably shuffled us back from going P1, but that's all right. It's a long day tomorrow, so we'll see what happens.
Now, what happens tonight in preparation for tomorrow? A good night's sleep, I hope?
Yeah, that's it. Had a big day away from the sims, so plenty of sleep, and wake up nice and early tomorrow and get my iron before the race starts.
Yeah, perfect. Well, good luck, mate, and head up. Still front row for the moment, provisionally. Who knows if the rest of the cars bin themselves? We'll see. As Sandman now, Ethan Griggolt is up next.
Again, just prepping himself. I do like to see, you know, obviously everyone has a different style about how they leave pit lane, or whether they take it slow or the half lap. Some of them go for a half lap push, but a lot of them you'll see they'll wait till they get to the chase, get a nice exit out of the chase, and so they're carrying a fair bit of speed into the last corner.
Ethan Grigalt, who's been lighting up the XL's world, as we said, both states and nationally. Bumped into him the other week, as I said, Sam, man, over at Phillip Island. Had a good chat, got to meet him and just talk through everything. He's really passionate about his racing, and not just passionate, I think he's very, very talented too as he begins this run. Now, where is he going to fall in qualifying? A 2-minute 2.1 was his time in the first qualifying session. Here he begins his shootout run.
So he needs to match that to get up near Anderson. Anderson will be pretty happy with his time so far. He's obviously made up a couple of spots at this stage, so now it's all eyes on Ethan as he heads up the mountain. He knows he's got that task in front of him. He needs to think about his braking zones. Make sure he gets that car nice and stable under brakes, as deep as you dare, just to get it turned in. The car looks good so far. What's his turn in like?
He's a couple hundredths off Josh Anderson in the first sector. Pushes it really hard through the exit there, right up close to the wall. He's trying to maximise the width of the racetrack, which is good. He's right on it as well. You can see the bounciness as well. Dampers trying to smoothen his ride as much as possible. Here's the bumpy part of the track here, through the top of the mountain, not the top of the mountain, sorry, through Reed Park, on towards the Great, sliding as well. He's not going to make up time doing that, although I take that back as he's purple through Sector 2.
Don't you love it when the drivers make a liar out of us? But man, oh man, he's having a red hot go. That car moving around, nice right of the curve there, down in under brakes. Now, a clean run into the dipper. Let's see how that car settles.
The car's really coming to him nicely, isn't it, throughout the lap here? The tyres are up to temperature. He's doing a great job so far, but this is going to be on the bubble, on the limit with that time of Josh Anderson. A 2-minute 2.1 to beat. He was right up close to the wall. That's the closest we've seen anyone to that wall at the elbow all session.
Mate, it's unreal. Don't you hold your breath every time you see him come out of there. It's like, man, don't clip that wall. You don't want to see what Diggy Johnson did back in the day and heading through the trees. That was unreal. But, man, he's got it front. Nice hard run through there. Deep under brakes. Car looks good. Gets it turned in. He's got a couple of purple sectors, like you said, but the time to beat is a 2:02.1. What's he got in store?
The most critical, nerve-wracking braking point here at Murray's. Nice and easy through there. That's the best run we've seen through Murray's all day. Purple through the final sector.
Bang.
Where's that lap time? Set him a 2-minute 2.122, less than 100th, but he's put himself on pole for the moment. Well done, Ethan Grigalt.
I believe we've got him on the line. Ethan Grigalt, congratulations, mate. Current pole position. Well done. How was that lap?
Yeah, finally I actually put a good shootout lap in for once. So, yeah, no, I really enjoyed that one. It was good.
We spoke about it a little bit about track conditions coming into this. Obviously, you had that half-hour practice qualifying session. How did the track feel now for this one-lap shootout?
Yeah, look, to be honest, it felt roughly the same. Maybe there's a tiny bit more grip than the other session as we're doing. I pretty much beat my time without draft, so obviously there's a bit more grip. But it's just good to be able to do a shootout with the 0x and 1x rules off. It allows us to push. So, no, I really enjoyed that one, and props to the organisers for getting that done because that was fun.
We all strive to be in the top 10 shootout. Mate, how was it? How good is it to have that track all to yourself and know that this could be where it's your, putting you on pole for one of the biggest races in our series?
Oh, it certainly gets the adrenaline pumping. Like, I'm going up Conrod Straight at the end of my lap, and my right foot started to go. So it's definitely all on the line. The nerves are high. It's one of the best times of the year, and thankfully I managed to put in a decent lap. So we'll see where the other boys put it, and yeah, and go from there. Hope for a good race tomorrow.
Well done, mate. Good job so far. Get to those time screens and watch on, and we'll hopefully talk to you a little bit later on.
Cheers, boys.
There you go, Jonathan. Now it's Corey Shepherd. It's his turn to take on the mountain.
Well, that's Mr. Corey Shepherd, according to the graphic anyway, as he begins his run. This is a great shot. Let's see where his braking point is into hell. Just after the 100-metre board, so he's just about nailed it there. Nice and smooth on the power as well. And now get a little bit of a rest to shake off those nerves. You've done well for turn one. Now you prepare yourself for the run to the mountain. Corey Shepherd, who knew that a guy born in 2005 would be the second youngest driver in this top 10 shootout today. Green through sector 1, he's about a 10th off Greg Goltz.
Mate, I love this camera shot. Look how much curb and how much part of the racetrack right up against the wall. That's what they need to get the optimal out of this racetrack. Nice turn in here. You almost want to touch the wall on entry. Man, he's doing a good job. Up through the gears, through here. This is obviously one of the most famous parts of the racetrack. You see how much the cars move around. You can see a little bit sideways, down into great. Man, he's pushing. Love how the car is having to go through here, up against the wall, into the left-hander here. Wants to grab a little bit of curb without upsetting the car too much. Up on the ripple strip and over Skyline.
Great job with the de-acceleration here. Past the dipper as well. Chucks it into the dipper and just prays and hopes that the car will stick to the tarmac. This is why Madison Down chucked his co-driver into the car. Corey Shepherd is a one-lap god. And if anybody is going to nail a shootout lap, it will be Corey. How about the sector times? Purple so far through 3 of the sectors. Will he get it done, though, into these final couple of braking zones?
Mate, he's having a red hot go. His teammate will be sitting on the edge of his seat just to see what time he can do. He's through the chase now, into here, hard on the brakes. Car looks good, car looks fast, and as you said, he's been setting purple sectors, and that's what it's all about. Now he's only got one more turn to go. Can he get in through the braking marker and put down a time?
2 minute 2.122 to beat. We think he's got it. Although that first sector is really going to let him down. Clips the curb at Murray's. That's not going to help his lap time at all. This will be nip and tuck stuff. A 2 minute 1.992 for Corey Shepherd. He is on provisional pole for the moment. That is an absolute belter of a time.
Mate, no doubt he'd be absolutely thrilled with that. The first of the drivers in the top 10 shootout to meet the 201s. We believe we've got him online. Corey, how was that lap? It looked awesome from the outside.
Hey guys, yeah, no, that was a really good lap. Pretty happy with that. There's a few slight mistakes, turn 1 in the last corner, but up the top was pretty committed. So yeah, super stoked.
Now, you probably had some sort of idea of what you sort of wanted to set yourself out. Obviously, everyone wants pole. Did you sort of give yourself a time number in your head that you wanted to match?
I was pretty happy in the qualifying session to be sort of around the top 5. So providing I kind of top the sheets in the current session, I was going to be quite happy. So we'll see where we go at the end.
Well, the car looks good, mate. You got a great driver pairing with yourself and Madison. All the best for the race, mate. And, keep an eye on those times and let's see where you end up at the end of the night.
Thanks, guys. Looking forward to it.
Cheers, mate. There you go. Corey just got the job done. Provisional pole sitter, but he can't rest easy too yet. Still a couple more cars to go.
He's got one of the most ever improved drivers in the past couple years of Brady Myers in that TTR Commodore, who's going to begin his run. Brady Myers he's lit the world. I don't want to say lit the world on fire, but he's certainly been one of the most improved drivers in the Supercars world since he joined that TTR squad a year or two back.
Absolutely. I think they've got a good breed of drivers throughout the TTR program. They all get along really well. They test and practice really well together. And his pace is certainly showing. A good driver pairing with him and Madison Down for the 1000, and they will be tough to beat.
28 years of age from New South Wales. Hope his connection lasts for the lap with the thunderstorms going on there. Our producer Luke behind the scenes is hoping the same. We hope everybody is staying safe across the east coast of Australia throughout the poor wet weather we've had. But focus is all on this lap for Brady Myers. Through Hell Corner he goes. Life's a beach as we watch from the gravel trap. And through turn 1 he goes. That's it. We'll check the sector time. Is it enough so far to eclipse Corey Shepherd's? Corey Shepherd had a very poor first sector, remember. Brady Myers through the first sector. Oh. Wow, 2 tenths up on Corey Shepherd.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that TTR Commodore at the moment, is there? We spoke about in the 30-minute qualifying session, there was only 3 drivers to get in the 201s. Now the rest of the drivers all need to be in the 201s just to grab pole.
Brady Myers lighting the lap on fire, if that's a thing. Goes straight through The second sector now 23.9. No, that's not good enough in comparison to Shepherd. This will be a close lap because remember, Shepherd's first sector was bad, but then the lap started to pick up right here through the mountain. This is where the driver makes the most difference. The commitment through the walls, millimeter perfect as well. He wasn't though. He had a little bit of room to spare, Brady, and he's made a bit of a mockery of his line through the S's and into the dipper.
Car looks good over the curbs though, so I don't think he'd be too upset with the way the car's overall feel is, probably for the 1000. You know, like you said, he may not be entirely happy with this lap, but so far the car looks pretty good. I don't know, you can see too many things wrong with it. It is bouncing over the curbs nice and it looks quite settled, but we now need to keep an eye on the sectors to see if he's got enough for his teammate.
Yeah, that's a good point, and that's where we'll see whether he uses the curbs here into the Chase and into Murray's, because certainly most of the drivers have been avoiding the curbs. Green through the last 4 sectors. That first sector, maybe he's used the best of the rubber and he's got them up to temperature a bit too much. We'll see. We saw what happened with the end of Greg Galt's run. Lit it up in the final sector. Will Brady Myers do the same? Through the final corner at Murray's, Brady Myers for pole position. Has he done it? Across the line he goes, and he has a 2-minute 2.818. A 2-minute 1.818, I should say. Brady Myers on pole for the moment.
Wow, look at him celebrating too on exit there, just wiggling the car around. He'd be pretty chuffed with that lap. We didn't know if he was going to have enough for it, but he got his teammate.
He seems absolutely ecstatic. Brady Myers joins us now. Brady, you seem thrilled with that run.
Man, I am pumped with that. That's a big lap, and I'm really happy with it.
We thought for a moment you had a bit of trouble through the downhill run. So you crossed the top of the mountain and then into the S's. Did you make a mockery of that, or did you think you nailed that part of the lap?
I was a bit scuffed coming down the S's into the dipper, but apart from that, the rest of the lap was pretty tidy. It was just a matter of getting a lap on.
Now the car looked pretty good, mate. We said that in the broadcast it looked quite settled over the bumps. Are you fairly happy with the car for the 1000?
Yeah, very happy with the car. We've been toying around with it, just fine-tuning a few things here and there, but overall I think we've struck something, even just this afternoon, just really happy with the balance, and yeah, it should be a decent race car come tomorrow.
And now you boys get to have a little bit of TTR banter about who's on pole.
Yeah, exactly. It's yeah, always competitive with those guys, but yeah, good to get one up on them.
All right, we'll leave you to it, Brady. Well done. Up next is Jake Burton, who's just about to begin his run. The last of 3 cars. After this, it's Burton, Kostecki, Warren. But first up, Jake to begin his hot lap run. He is a pure racer, is Jake Burton. 23 years of age from Perth, WA. Made the move over to Melbourne and driving like he's lived in Bathurst for all his life. That was a beautiful way to begin his lap.
Yeah, obviously we touched on the dramas he had at the top of the mountain in qualifying, but still P3, he'd be pretty happy with that. But now he needs to deliver. This is the lap that matters, and he knows that there's only a couple more cars in front of him. Car moved around a tiny bit under brakes, but didn't look too bad. Looks quite good.
Track cooling down, 26 degrees Celsius track temperature. And now he under 29 degrees, 28 degrees it was, around that range for qualifying session 1, set a 2-minute 1.966. He was one of only 3 drivers in the 2-minute 1 range. Purple through sector 1, sector 2, not so good so far. But let's see how he fares through the run through the mountain.
Oh, man, I love that shot of the great. And look at him up against the wall. That's what you want to do. You don't want another thick coat of paint on that because you'd be up against the wall creating sparks. But look at him go, how committed you have to be. Over Skyline and heading into the dipper, hard on the brakes. The cars move around and just want to dart straight for the wall. But his thing looks pretty teed up.
Boy, he's committed, like you said. Well said. And now he goes towards the braking zone into the elbow. He straightened the car up really, really well through there. And that's going to give him a monster run onto the Conrod straight.
Yeah, look at him go. Look at him just plucking gears. And this is where you just mash that throttle. I remember when I used to race here, your foot would be so hard up and hard against the throttle. And it's like, there's no way it's going to make more speed. But you just mash it as hard as you can.
Pure commitment, almost 300 kilometers per hour into the braking zone, into the chase. Uses the curb by just a touch. We're showing green sectors, but that can be a lie sometimes, because we've seen some provisional pole times come out of nowhere in this final sector. The track improving inch by inch and meter by meter. Jake Burton for pole position. Can he do it? in that number 8. No, it's not enough. 1.5 tenths off Brady Myers. He'll sit second for the moment.
Wow, how close is it getting up top? But man, I think after the dramas that he had at Sandown, he'd be pretty happy with that. It's always good to be starting at the pointy end for the 1000.
Jake Burton, we've got him right now. Jake, that's not the best run for you, but hey, look, you've got it P4 at worst for tomorrow with 2 cars coming.
Yeah, I actually think that's a really good lap from Brady, to be honest. I think that one's going to be pretty hard for everyone but Dane to top, to be honest. But yeah, no, decent lap, kept it clean, didn't bin it. Looks like we might have a penalty for tomorrow anyway, so we'll see what happens, but still stoked to be in the 10.
Yeah, we know there is a protest coming with a bit of a, I think it could be a 5-place penalty we're hearing, Jake, but nevertheless, it's a 1000 tomorrow. Plenty of time to make up positions. We've seen people win this race from the back.
Yeah, 100%. It's a long day, and yeah, Jordan's a lot more prep this time, so I'm really excited to see how he goes. And yeah, hopefully we just buy a ticket at the end for tomorrow.
And just as you went past that one, just quickly, Jake, just through that part of the racetrack, it was heart and mouth stuff, got caught up in a massive accident in quali. You'd be breathing a sigh of relief to now finally get the lap shootout behind you.
Yeah, that's it. I think we haven't spent a huge amount on quali this week. A lot of it's been trying to get Jordan up to speed for the race pace. So I'm fairly confident in the race car. You know, just, again, happy to be in the 10.
Thanks, Jake. We'll let you get back to it. All the best, and we'll see where you fare out after this.
Yeah, cheers, guys.
Jake Burton, who will sit no worse than 4th, although he did mention that's a critical point. There could be a penalty coming both to him and car number 18 for issues in qualifying. Nevertheless, focus is on Brody Kostecki in the Boost Mobile Racing Commodore. 2 cars left, 2 Boost Mobile Racing Commodores to go. Kostecki through turn 1. That looked pretty smooth and it looked pretty quick, but looks can be deceiving. Let's see what the timing screens say.
He's absolutely no slouch around Mount Panorama. We saw it a couple of weeks ago when he was doing the 1000, and man, you know, here he is having a red hot go in the virtual world. He's been quick in our series. It's good to have him on board, but man, has he got enough to grab pole position? We'll have to wait and see.
So far, good enough. 21.962 through Sector 1. Quickest of all 9 drivers so far to compete in this session. He's finished on the podium before in Bathurst. Finished 4th this year as well. Purple through Sector 2 as well. He's right on it. That was inch perfect through Reed Park.
I was going to say, looking at his car, I think purple is his favourite colour. Oh, he's hit the wall! How much is that going to cost him? He nailed the wall on exit, so hopefully he hasn't given up too much. But man, oh man, that is a bit of an eye-opener as he goes purple in Sector 3.
Well, let's hope that hasn't deleted the lap time. That's a critical point to understand too. He's right on it. Look at him through the downhill part of the mountain now as well, through the elbow. Into the braking zone. Doesn't nail it quite as Burton did, but Burton was a little bit slower on lap time. Kostecki, 3 purple sectors. Has he used the best of the rubber to begin his lap so far? Let's see how he fares to end his run.
Mate, heart and mouth stuff. He's trying to see if he can put it all together. The time to beat is a 2:01.82 for pole position. And of course, if he gets the job done, he's got to worry about his teammates as well in the Boost Mobile car. They're going to have a crack next time out. But he gets through here nice and clean, smooth on exit. It's all going to come down to this last braking zone.
One of only 2 drivers to be in the 2-minute 1.7s in qualifying. He'll need to replicate that to score pole position for the moment. Brody Kostecki across the line. Here he comes. He's been quick so far for the most of his shootout run. He's done it. A 2-minute 1.557. What a lap from Kostecki.
Man, how good is that? He put some margin on Brady Myers. We spoke to Burton earlier. He said Myers' time was going to be hard to beat. Kostecki didn't think so.
Well done. What a lap. I mean, that's absolutely breathtaking from Brody. He's done a magnificent run there, and he joins us now. Brody, what a mammoth run. We know the track's improving, but mate, a 2-minute 1.556. What a time for pole.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad of a lap. Yeah, been sort of pretty happy all week with the car. We've done a couple of races now at this place. With the current build of the car. So yeah, it wasn't too pleased with the lap. Made a pretty big mistake going down the hill and sort of cost me about 10th.5. So I'm sure Dane's about to put on a show here and smoke us all.
Well, it seems if he does, it'll be a Boost Mobile Racing 1-2. How would that be for the team virtually?
Yeah, it'd be great. All the SSR guys have been, putting in a lot of work, and we've had really fast cars all year, and Yeah, it'd be great to you know, start 1-2 and you know, fight, you know, Dane and Jared for the win. So yeah, Cooper's been putting in a good effort this week as well, so he's been pretty quick. So yeah, pretty excited about tomorrow.
Now, Dane's about to start his lap. You think you got enough for him, or you think he's gonna get you?
Oh, I might have to go back down into his channel and play a few sounds, see if I can put him off.
It might be a good idea. All right, mate, we'll let you go watch the timing monitor and we'll see how your teammate goes, but all the best for the 1,000.
Cheers, thanks guys.
Brody Kostecki, who is on provisional pole for the moment, but this is the man I don't want to say he's scared of, Sandman, definitely not, but the man he's afraid might pip him for pole position. Dane Warren is one of the best sim racers in the world, let alone Australia. Enjoy this one. Hot lap run begins for Dane Warren.
Just want to watch his approach into turn 1. Looks good. Turn in's good. Look at him go. Nice exit. There's one person you always want to beat in your team, isn't it? It's your teammate. So these guys will be watching the screen. They know that this is a great driver pairing. Dane Warren has really put on a show. He did a great run at Sandown, and now he's attacking the mountain to grab pole position in the Bathurst 1000.
Well, not to make a story out of nothing, but the only mistake we saw from him all day was into turn 1 in qualifying. He's nailed that. He's got that out of the way. Scratch that. 21.934, quickest of all through Sector 1.
Yeah, Dane's going to be pretty quick to say I think his favourite colour is purple now, because he's obviously set that in Sector 1 and he's looking for Sector 2.
Wow. I mean, enjoy this one. This is pure symphony right now. Dane Warren can feel this car. Well, I would say through his butt, but knowing the real thing, it's you don't feel it through your butt virtually. You feel it through your arms, don't you? You feel it through visually. You can see it. He is in sync and scratched the wall just by a touch into Skyline.
Mate, as he just apexed the car, he just got it out, tried to use as much racetrack. Didn't hurt him too much. Like, the time wasn't too bad, but this is where every sim racer now holds their breath, coming into the turn. Just wants to get it pulled up. Got some nice exit now. Look, doesn't want to bounce off the wall. Nice and close. Beautiful run now. It's foot flat to the floor.
He's been a little bit slower than Kostecki through sectors 3 and 4, so this might not be pole position for Dane Warren. It's going to be nip and tuck. But can he buck the trend and potentially score pole position here? Co-driver with Jared Filsell, our championship leader. Jared looking to wrap up the championship tomorrow, hopefully. But can Dane Warren make it just that little bit easier for both him and Filsell? One more braking zone to go for Warren. A 2-minute 1.557 a beat. He's absolutely nailed Murray's. Across the final sector he comes, and through the line. Is it pole? Yes! It is. A 2-minute 1.3. A mammoth final sector puts Dane Warren on pole.
Man, look at those last 2 sectors in purple. Well done. A 2:01.39. It's a Boost Mobile Racing 1-2.
Dane Warren joins us now. Dane, did you expect that pole position? Oh, you're on mute, mate. Just double checking. Can you hear us? Oh, you got us now?
Hello.
Yeah, we got you.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I mean, looking at the gap, it's I'll take it, but the lap didn't really feel that great, to be honest. So, yeah, I mean, I guess it just means that tomorrow's going to be pretty good for us. Hopefully the luck sort of swings our way.
You've got a big support crew in the background, Dane, as always. I love that support you got. How's the family enjoying this one?
Oh, they always love getting around the racing. I think everyone's sorted in E3, so yeah, they'll be watching all tomorrow. Hopefully it, yeah, like I said, goes their way and we have something to celebrate.
Can I add just quickly, before you go, Sandman, is that Dane said tonight, you know, you got a big race tomorrow. Family's all here. I'm assuming no drinks tonight, mate? You save the drinks for tomorrow?
I'm just getting on the waters, mate. That's all we need.
Mate, well done. That was a terrific lap. Awesome to hear the family in the background, but now the mindset is now thinking about the 1000. You and Jared had a terrific run at Sandown to the lead up to the Bathurst 1000. What do you do tonight? Do you think about, do you guys talk about, or have you already got sort of a strategy in place for tomorrow?
Well, I think the funny part about that is I think Jared's away on a family trip enjoying himself. So, I mean, from a team perspective, I think I'm pretty trusting with Jared. He knows what he's doing as he put on at Sandown. So, I mean, there's no real dramas for us going to tomorrow and just hoping for the best, hoping that the luck goes our way and, yeah, just take it as it comes.
And a great result, mate, obviously for the team too, having a Boost Mobile 1-2. You and Kostecki on the front row tomorrow. That's pretty cool for everyone to watch.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, again, as we showed at Sandown, the cars have had mega pace, so definitely not worried about tomorrow. I think we have a pretty good chance of taking it out. Both cars, that is. So yeah, really looking forward to it.
We'll let you go celebrate with the team. Sorry, Jonathan, if you want to say anything else, but well done, mate.
Yep, thanks, mate.
No, that's all good. Dane Warren on provisional pole. Well, not provisional pole. He's on pole tomorrow, Sandman. That's it. Shootout's wrapped up. Dane Warren pole position. A Boost Mobile Racing 1-2. He'll be joined on pole by Brody Kostecki in the 99. How about that for a front row tomorrow, Sandman? But they've got to be careful. 1,000-kilometre race. It's not going to be won at turn 1.
That's right. They're obviously done the best thing that they could do for themselves as a team. Start up the front. You know, last thing you want to do in these races is be caught in any first lap dramas. You know, we saw it in the real Bathurst, and it can happen as easily as it did then as it can for tomorrow. So all these teams will be conscious about that. They've put their best foot forward and starting up the front. That will sort of take a little bit of pressure off them, and boy, oh boy, no doubt they'll all be looking forward to the big one tomorrow.
Jake Burton sits in fourth. He split two of the TTR cars. Brady Myers in third. Corey Shepherd sits in fifth. So for Jake, he seemed a little bit disappointed with that lap, but I think for him, he knows, I think he's a bit disappointed because there could be a penalty that will demote him to ninth on the starting grid.
Yeah, and look, it always plays on your mind a little bit when there's penalties involved, but at the end of the day, we know it's 1,000 Ks. It's a long race. I mean, you don't have to be up the front to win this race. You know, you just need to buy yourself a ticket to the end, and you could probably have a drinking game for the amount of times that we say that tomorrow. So at the end of the day, they're still on the grid. They're in a decent spot, and they'll have to just worry about whatever the stewards decide later on.
Greg Gault's sixth, but Josh Anderson behind him will start seventh. Could be promoted to sixth, as we know, because of that penalty coming for Jake Burton. But results for the moment in the shootout is Josh Anderson is seventh for the moment. Now, remember, he was 15th with just a couple minutes to go, Sandman, in qualifying. Then he was 9th to make the shootout. Now promotes himself to 7th and maybe 6th for tomorrow's start. How about that? Coming up clutch, as we said all night for Josh Anderson.
It's not bad, is it? He's earned his biscuits at the end of the night, hasn't he? So he'd be pretty happy with that, because if you go back and watch the tape with everything that unfolded in those dying stages of qualifying, it's heart and mouth stuff. You know, you just don't know how it's all going to play out. But for him to be possibly starting 6th in the great race tomorrow, he'd be pretty chuffed.
So James Scott will start 8th, and to round out the top 10, you've got Shane Van Gisbergen, who's got a lot of real-world experience here, in 9th. And then Rainer Costello, the youngest driver in this top 10. We had two 17-year-olds, Corey Shepherd and Costello, competing in this shootout. How about that for Rainer Costello? Young sim racer, very nervous, got a lap in the shootout nevertheless, but starts alongside one of the best drivers in Supercars history tomorrow. How about that for pressure?
Absolutely, and the reigning Bathurst 1000 champion. So, I mean, he'll be stoked. And like I said, going into it, for him in 10th for the top 10 shootout, you know, there was no pressure on him. Regardless of what was going to happen, he was still going to start the great race in 10th place. So a really, really top effort. He'd be chucked with that. And now it's all eyes forward for tomorrow.
And that's exactly right. Tomorrow, great segue there. You'll be there tomorrow as well for the 1000. Get a good night's sleep tonight. Everybody stay safe, stay healthy, of course, because tomorrow is going to be a big day. The 1000, one of our favorite days of the year. Coverage will continue for round 8 of the Logitech G Supercar Pro Invitational. Join us 11 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time for the broadcast tomorrow. 11:30 a.m. start. That's 11 a.m. broadcast time at 10 a.m. in Queensland. It'll be 8 a.m. over in WA. 11 a.m. of course as usual for 10:30 for Adelaide as well. So many time zones to consider. Join us tomorrow. That's where this man Dane Warren could crown himself along with Jared Filsell as winners of the 1000. We hope you enjoyed our qualifying coverage this Saturday night.
You can feel the tension. You can smell the anticipation. 40 cars, 40 different stories. And on Sunday, we challenged the stiffest test. The test of the animal that is Mount Panorama. 6.2 Ks of the toughest challenge that Australian racing has to offer. But you don't just do it once. There are 161 reasons why this can all go wrong. 1,000 reasons why you didn't get the job done. Failing to prepare is preparing to fail. And when it's all said and done, there will only be one winner. One team that is crowned with glory. It's not the lucky ones that win this race, it's only the best. Which team will it be? SSR, TTR, or even ERT? Or maybe someone else from the pack can rise for the win. Welcome to Bathurst. Welcome to the Logitech G Pro Invitational.